Informasi terbaru gempa bumi dahsyat 7,7 magnitudo mengguncang Myanmar pada hari ini Jumat. Gempa terasa hingga di dua negara yakni China dan Thailand. Dikutip dari cnnindonesia.com, dihimpun dari berbagai laporan gempa mengguncang Myanmar, Thailand hingga China. Pusat Jaringan Gempa China atau China Earthquake Network Center melaporkan getaran terasa di Provinsi Yunnan, Barat Daya, China.
And it has been quiet since about 200 years ago. And based on these historical studies as well as modern geophysical investigations, we know that this place, this segment of the fault, is likely to rupture as a big earthquake in the near future. So we have been communicating with the Myanmar governments as well as local scientists, highlighting the potential high-risk seismic risk along this segment of the fault. So this earthquake to us is not unexpected.
Yeah. And to that point, I mean, as our reporter was just sort of discussing and alluding to there, I mean, this was something that you and your researchers and team had been tracking, the science community perhaps had been expecting, but obviously the domestic politics in Myanmar right now, the situation on the ground there perhaps made it more challenging for officials there to perhaps pay attention, as you say, to the warnings that you've been trying to issue.
Exactly. Well, given the political and also the economic status of the country, I think the multiple cities along the Sagan Fault is very vulnerable and kind of at the high seismic risk. So, yeah, we as scientists, we try our best to provide the best scientific information to the stakeholders.
And just give me a sense, I mean, 7.7 magnitude, give me a sense of what that means. And just as far as we know that it's been felt, you know, the edges of China, Bangkok, I mean, just sort of put that in context for us. Sure.
Given the size of the magnitude as well as preliminary seismological results that we know this earthquake probably produced the rupture along more than 300, at least 300 kilometers long. It ruptured these long distance along the fault. It probably, it's very close to the major cities like Mandalay, Naypyidaw, and other smaller cities along the fault. Besides those near fault cities, major cities, nearby countries like Thailand and probably part of China's Yunnan province of China, they might have felt strong shaking as well because the earthquake is big enough to produce very strong shaking, even hundreds of kilometers away from the epicenter.
All right, we're going to leave it here. Sanjay Wei, we appreciate you being with us this morning. Thank you. And for now, I want to go to Jack Brown, who saw firsthand what played out after the quake hit in Bangkok. He is speaking with us now from the capital. Jack, great to have you this morning. We can see what appears to be motorcycles or people just sort of rushing by you. Give me a sense of what it's like where you are and what you're seeing and hearing.
Good morning, America. Yes, it's been quite an ordeal, to be honest with you. I was on my way to a client meeting on an elevated expressway when what I initially thought was a burst tire in the car because it was sort of swaying a bit. So I pulled over to the left-hand side and I noticed a lot of the other cars around me were doing the same. People were driving quite haphazardly and we couldn't really understand at the time what was happening. Anyway, I stopped the car and the car was still moving quite a lot. Then I realized immediately it's an earthquake. So people were still sort of driving very slowly, confused. Everyone just didn't really know what they were doing. Nobody was driving orderly. And then suddenly we just seen the collapse of the building right in front of us on the left-hand side, which is an area called Jatuljak near very famous Jatuljak markets. It was a building which is currently under construction and the whole thing just collapsed. And obviously my initial thought was that if anybody is in that building, then 100% it's going to be fatalities for sure. And what I found out later on was sadly, there's still 67 people unaccounted for in that building. Rescue efforts are underway, but Bangkok now is absolute gridlock. There's a lot of high-rise in Bangkok, apartments, offices. People are outside of those buildings now, I think, waiting for the go-ahead to re-enter the buildings. So I think everyone is just sort of just stuck waiting, really. You can see by the traffic in the car here, nothing's moving. I've been sat in the car for 2 hours now. Can't really go anywhere. There's a lot of emergency service vehicles trying to get through. People on foot, despite the 39-degree heat. You know, I think people are just waiting, really. Of the unsure if there's going to be any aftershocks. There's talk about there could be additional aftershocks and things like this.
Yeah, and just, you know, for people who perhaps have not been to Bangkok, I mean, just give us a sense. I mean, it is a very busy city, really at all hours of the day. So when this happened, I mean, you were there to actually witness what appeared to be a building collapse, but just sort of give me the sense of the reaction you were seeing, what you were hearing, and just the fear that this, obviously, as we look at this video, this would have caused in such a busy city.
Sure. I mean, earthquakes are not common in Bangkok or in Thailand. I've been living here for over 10 years. This is the first earthquake I've ever experienced here. So I think it took most people off guard. You know, people weren't expecting it, or they didn't recognize the signs of an earthquake. So I think originally a lot of people probably thought it was their car, or they felt dizzy or something, you know, and a lot of confused people, a lot of panic, I think, especially when seeing the building coming down. People got out of their cars immediately on the expressway. It just came to a standstill. There was a lot of fear, a lot of panic, because people don't know what's going to happen next. Are any other buildings going to come down? Are there any flow-on effects on an expressway even, which is elevated? Is that going to crumble? Obviously, people are frightened, very concerned.
Yeah, and we're looking at video. I'm not sure if you can see it, Jack, but a video that you shot, and what appears to be, what I'm imagining, if you can see it, please correct me if I'm wrong, that building collapsed perhaps, and the distance there as you were making your way away from that area. So Jack, what is your plan now? I mean, obviously there's the fear of an aftershock or what may come in the near hours or near days. Well, what's your plan? Where are you going? What are you planning to do? How do you plan to stay safe?
I had plans to meet with clients this afternoon, both in high-rise buildings, so that immediately got postponed. I've seen that there's warnings coming out for people to stay away from the city to alleviate the rescue efforts, and also to stay away from high-rise buildings. I've seen that some buildings are damaged, and I guess the authorities or people don't know if those buildings are safe to re-enter yet. So for me, I've turned around. I'm in the car, my girlfriend's driving, trying to return back to our office. But like I said, the last two and a half hours is just gridlock. We've moved about 2 kilometers, I believe. So I think everyone's trying to get away from the city as quickly as they can, but there's just really nowhere to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just talk to me a little bit more about, I mean, we can see that traffic appears to be picking up. I mean, do things appear to be at least picking up steam in terms of the transportation situation? I mean, the only real people that I've been able to see pass you are those on motorcycles or, you know, on 2 wheels. But just give me a sense of what you're seeing right now where you are.
Traffic is very, very slow. The direction I'm going is to get out of the city. The direction coming in is just not moving whatsoever, apart from motorcycles. So I don't know how long it's going to last until, you know, this disruption is sort of alleviates. But yeah, I think it's going to be a long time yet. It's not getting better. It's just crawling traffic.
Okay, Jack Brown.
I'm not sure if yep.
I'm sorry. Go on. Finish your thought.
I'm not sure if the rail transport systems are back up and running again yet. We've got the Skyrail and the Underground. I know that those services were paused. I don't know if they've been resumed yet or not, but perhaps that would alleviate some of the congestion. Yeah.
Jack Brown, we appreciate you being with us live from Bangkok. It is obviously a beautiful city. We're certainly thinking about everyone there this morning, this afternoon where you are. We're glad that you could be with us this morning. Stay safe.